Kevin, didn't you mention something about some guests coming? I don't know who.
Yeah, no. We got a certain someone here in the studio today. You might know him.
Yeah.
Our next guest is widely considered one of today's most inventive filmmakers. His 3D masterpiece, Avatar, received 4 Golden Globe nominations earlier this week, and my mom's going to go see it. She doesn't leave the house. And that is thought by many, really, to be an Oscar frontrunner. Take a look. Joining me now, ladies and gentlemen, James Cameron is here.
I've got some fans here.
Yeah. I'm gonna let you.
All right.
Normally it's like I am interviewing like a midget on a tricycle dressed as a Dalmatian, and so there's 4 people here. The entire 4 square blocks around our studio is here for you today, James. So,
I know. How much do you have to pay them to?
Well, no, they actually paid me.
Paid mourners at about.
No, I'm finally getting a salary today.
Yeah.
So thank you for being here. Really, it's an honor and a privilege to chat with you because for years I've wanted to ask why Rose just didn't get off the damn board and share it with Leo for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
What was the problem?
Yeah.
She was so selfish, and Leo's at the bottom. Now she's throwing jewels into the ocean because she's all alone.
I didn't think of that.
Okay, I'm just saying. You may want to go back if there's a Blu-ray special.
Because, it didn't really work out that well.
No, I think...
and I'm always looking for ways to punch up that movie,
Yeah.
make it a little better. Because, we only made it to $1.8 billion.
That was it.
And it's that last couple $100 million that just really drives me nuts.
I did an exit surveyor 12, and most people thought that was the major flaw. I'm sorry, but now you know.
Actually, honestly, most people thought that the major flaw was that she threw the diamond away. They're like, what?
Yeah, what woman would do that?
We actually were going to shoot an alternate ending where Louis Abernathy, the big guy on the ship, actually hoses her with an Uzi before she can throw it in slow motion.
Exactly.
They show it to Fox and say, I've got this great idea for the end. Hey, check this out.
Right. No one will expect this.
Yeah,
then he's going to take all the other jewelry and cash for gold. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
We're going to make so much money off the integration. Avatar is a project that has been, 15 years in the making?
Well, technically, I've been imagining this movie since I was a kid, and I saw my first Ray Harryhausen films, But 15 years since I wrote it, and 4.5 years of full-time working on it.
And since the Harryhausen days, stop motion is amazing. Don't get me wrong. Clay models are cool.
Yeah, they're cool, but they're very obsolete looking now.
Oh yeah.
And when I look at it now, I still feel the magic that I felt as a kid, but we've come so light years beyond that now.
Well, even 15 years ago, you're watching a movie like Lawnmower Man and counting the polygons in his face and going, "Wow, that kind of looks like a pancake with eyes, but that's future. That's going to be awesome."
That's the future.
How has it changed just in the last 4 years since you've really been ramping up production?
Yeah, well, look, the curve has been steadily going up from the time I founded Digital Domain with Stan Winston to actually push the art of CG character creation. We saw it sort of steadily going upward. And I actually sort of got off that. I assumed it would continue to go. I sort of got off that for a few years to do deep ocean expeditions and to work on the 3D camera technology. Let the CG just kind of continue to move forward. Lots of filmmakers doing it, pushing it forward. And then so in 05, I just kind of took a snapshot of where we were, and I thought, all right, we're not there yet. We're not there for what we need to do for Avatar, but we can get there. And the trick is when you can get there within a single production, during that production cycle, then it's time to move. And that's what we did on T2. We knew we could get there to what we needed to do within that one movie, within that year.
And you take a break, and you're like, I would love to slap a saddle on a meteor and ride it into the sun. That technology doesn't exist.
Yeah.
You want to use 3D cameras with servos in them, and you're like, I should go make those 3D cameras. And you did, right?
Yeah.
What tools didn't exist to create your vision that you had to actually make yourself?
Well, the 3D camera stuff I started in 2000 with Vince Pace, who's got an engineering camera company, and we just started slapping 2 HD cameras side by side. Started with the simplest, dumbest approach, and then we slowly evolved it over time to adding convergence capability, uncoupling all the record capability from the sensor head, really refining the servos that drive the lensing, so that and then we went to the next step, which is to put it into a beam splitter configuration, so we could have complete control of the interocular distance, like the distance between your eyes. Right, and the toe in. So now we have complete control of stereo space in real time in a networked camera system that can have multiple cameras. We're good to go for production. This was around in 06. So we actually just sort of barely got the system ready to do Avatar, and then shot Avatar.
And our audience at home is playing that answer over and over again in slow motion and sending it to their favorite Color Me Bads special because they love it in a way that they shouldn't. And I'm sorry, James, but thank you for giving it. I have a lot more to ask.
I can do the rap version if you want.
Well, no. This we can get you a beat. We will make that happen, and then we'll let you hit Uncle Ted with a folding chair as well.
Can I?
But we have to do it. Yes, if you want.
I'm into it.
We have to do it after the break, though. Yeah. We'll be right back. More with James Cameron to talk about Avatar, the movie, and why my mom is going to go see it. Stick around, everybody.
We'd like to talk to you about a fresh start on a new world.
Welcome to Pandora.
You look like a were-smurf. You look like Braveheart with boobs.
I'm gonna kill all y'all blue-skinned cat monkeys!
I'll see that in 3D IMAX.
You're probably going to ask me why we did the CG on the film and all the advances.
Yeah.
Because that's what it would have looked like.
Excuse me. I'll have you know, that took 3 fresh out of high school After Effects artists working round the clock to do over a weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
The Mountain Dew budget alone is impressive for this network. That was our biggest production of all time. So you're totally right about the way it looked. James Cameron, everybody, we're back. China Tag of the show. I want to ask very quickly before we actually talk about what Avatar is. I know we nerd out on the technology, but that's what we love here.
Right.
But when it comes to 3D filmmaking, in your hands, revolutionary. And if the Peter Jacksons and the Steven Spielbergs, who I know visited your set, I don't know if they bought 12 on site. I don't know if they just took out wad of cash.
Yeah, they drove it off the line.
Made it rain.
Yeah.
Put it in the F-150. I'll do something with it later. In their hands, it'll be revolutionary. Do you worry about, like, the Wayans brothers getting a hold of this technology?
Yeah.
Do you worry about it becoming, like... Because right now, 3D IMAX films, that's a tentpole event, something I want to go see, I want to experience. Do you worry about it becoming a gimmick in unskilled
worry about
hands?
you guys with that technology.
We will never... We're as standard def as it gets. We have a Betamax box set that's out in stores now, so you don't have to worry about us. But do you worry about it becoming a gimmick before it has a chance to be as revolutionary as it should be?
Well, if you're talking about the CG part of it or the 3D part?
The 3D part. You know, all these theaters are transitioning.
The 3D part started as a gimmick. It started with, you know, like all the cheesy horror movies in the 50s, and then it sort of came back as, you know, the stewardesses in 3D and stuff like that. It's always been kind of cheesy. And then in the last few years, you know, it's evolved into something actually quite respectable with great projection, great stereo space, but it's been sort of relegated still to animated films, and they've always got stuff like soap bubbles floating around, or
a bag of gumballs! It's flying at the screen.
Yeah, and I love Monsters vs. Aliens. I thought it was great, but you know, they did the old homage, you know, with the guy with the paddle ball, right? So you know, to me, the trick to this, and what you'll see in Avatar, is after a while you just forget you're wearing the 3D glasses. We're not constantly reminding you. We're not bouncing crap off your forehead every 10 seconds. You know, and it has you know, people use the word immersive or whatever. The way I like to think of it is kind of somewhere at arm's length in your mental picture of the world. There's a window, and right on the other side of that window is a reality. And after a while, the frame of that window kind of disappears in your consciousness, and you're through that window into that reality, and that's what it's like.
Well, for the record, a friend of mine who did see a screening in 3D, he's into some medicinal stuff. He sent me a review, and it simply said, "Dude," and it was like there was probably like 45 U's in this one text message, which tells me he forgot he was sitting in a theater.
That's awesome. So you know, that beats the New Yorker review and the LA Times review. And
I agree as well. Now, you said when we see Avatar, I still don't know exactly what I'm in for when I go see this in 3D IMAX, because I've seen one trailer that makes it look from the director of Terminator and Terminator 2, and I'm like, hell yeah, and explosions
Titanic.
Everywhere, and Titanic,
holy shit.
and a guy's flying around.
There's love in this.
No.
Oh, no.
I hope someone's playing violins on an eagle as it soars.
Exactly.
But I see that and I go, yeah, sign me up. Then I see another trailer that makes it look like Must Love Dogs, which is great because now my girlfriend wants to see it too.
Right.
But I mean, how would you even describe? Well, then there's this trailer, which is how the internet imagined it.
Yeah,
completely different thing.
I think we beat that.
I think. But I mean, how with a film of this epic scale and scope, how do you distill it down to, all right, here's what the movie is?
Yeah, I don't know if you can do that. I mean, honestly, you have people walking out of the theater saying, "I can't describe what I just saw."
Right.
You know, and I was
Dude, I get it.
I'm at the after party of the premiere last night, and about 15 people in a row come up and say, "I'm speechless." It's like, how am I going to have any word of mouth when everybody's speechless?
Right.
You know? It's like, find the words, okay? Just, you know, as I say to my 3-year-old, use your words. Okay?
Yeah, that's how you have to treat the Twitter audience.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, you have 140 characters. Use 4.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's ellipses, but make a smiley face at the end of it.
Yeah,
Let them know you enjoyed it.
Right, right.
And when you designed, like, Natiri, pretty damn sexy.
She's hot.
Yeah, to say the least. Did
Yeah.
you? I gotta ask. Would you?
It was. Okay, we had an all-male design team,
Yeah.
and that was the requirement. She had to be blankable.
That's what, is that what the design doc said?
It was written up overhead. She got to be blankable.
Well, I think we could drop the mission accomplished banner because I totally would, James.
Yeah, except she's 10 feet tall, and what guy would
just
know
let you know
what to do?
that's the Photoshop that I made specifically for you. That's
so this is a
me with
little
your
wish
creation.
fulfillment.
Right, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I write slash fiction in my spare time.
Yeah.
And that's some of the animation. Was that really one of the design goals? You said to the team, "Hey, listen, we want to make," because you designed everything in this, from flora to fauna to blankable species.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, I mean, I didn't personally design it. I had a great team
Sure.
of world-class design artists, you know, and they were all completely gung-ho to create a planet. You know, I mean, what could be cooler than that? You know, that's why I wanted to make this movie, was the design part of it, which took us 2 years. But you know, as we were exploring, you know, what do these big blue alien people look like? You know, we had gills, we had horns, we had all kinds of weird stuff, and I kept saying, look, it's got a love story in it. You've got to wanna her.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Well,
know?
the members of gillandhornfetish.org are all very sad that you didn't do that right now,
exactly.
because they were really hoping for that
We'll
design.
post some of the early designs online for
You got to.
them,
I mean, when a movie's released on like a Blu-ray and you have the behind the scenes, the extra features, you've got enough to probably fill a Criterion collection just of the stuff that didn't make it, right?
A lot of stuff. Because, look, we were going for the best of the best, the distillation of the best ideas. So we looked at a lot of things. We even shot some scenes. We even finished some scenes up to the level before we gave them to Weta Digital to go photoreal on, you know, which took them like a year from the time we'd finish the scene and give it to them. And so there will be some finished scenes at a template level, which some people call previs, but we didn't because it was beyond previs. It was actually my finished cameras, as I operated the camera, just got applied to the Maya files later from the Motion Builder files that we worked in, which is our real-time, you know, we use it as a real-time render engine.
Well, when this thing does come out on Blu-ray and people are watching it in the homes, let's say next year, I'm assuming, you know, 2010, CES is coming up. There's going to be a big push for 3D in the home, 3D TVs.
Yeah, it's happening.
Are you on board for that, or do you think
Absolutely.
it's still too early for the living room?
It's not too early. I think it's going to be great. I've seen some of the sets. Panasonic's got a good one. There are a number of LGs coming out with one. Sony is on board with this. You know, there's going to be a tremendous amount of 3D everybody's going to be scrambling around for 3D content.
Sure.
We can't make these big blockbuster movies fast enough. So I think as it comes into the home, initially it's going to be sports, and I think it could be gaming as well.
I think
because,
it's definitely
you know,
be
the
gaming,
Avatar
yeah.
game is the first stereoscopic 3D console game. There were some PC games back 10 years ago and so on. Not to throw them under the bus, but you know,
No, the people that early adopted are still suffering the migraines from them, so it's okay. They're still in a seizure mode, so it's all right.
But the Avatar game is a kick in 3D, and I just can't imagine anybody who's a serious gamer not wanting to you know, get into the world of their game in a much more immersive way. So I think that's going to drive it. I think sports is going to drive it, and then eventually it'll be you know, broadcast and cable network stuff, and you know, scripted and unscripted, and then pretty soon it's going to be just everything.
Then it's just everything's 3D, and there you have it.
And everything, you know, on your big wall screen, but then I think it's quickly going to get adopted down to smaller devices.
The mobile
it works
space,
beautifully on a laptop, because if you think about it, you don't the laptop environment is a single user environment. You orient it to the sweet spot, right? Well, that's what you do for an auto stereoscopic 3D display. You got to orient yourself to it so you don't have to wear the glasses. Well, that's called a laptop last time I checked. So, you know, and the other thing is, the smaller the display area, the more having Z-depth to kind of sort and stack stuff behind stuff, windows behind windows, and you know, all that sort of thing actually will kind of make some sense. So I think smaller devices are going to really profit from this as it starts to. It's going to come, you know, blowing in pretty fast here over the next couple of years, 2 or 3 years.
An answer of that breadth and technical know-how, I think, can only be followed up by smashing Drunkle Ted with a chair. If you want to get in there, James.
Yeah. Let's do it.
By all means, yeah, no, of course. This is, it's only a shame. we aren't in 3D. So,
All right, here we go.
ladies and gentlemen, if you do not see Avatar, this will happen to you.
I've never actually hit anybody with a chair, and I've always wanted to. All right?
After you, sir.
Here we go.
Thank you for joining us. You guys, Avatar opens in theaters tomorrow. James friggin'